Did you know that 90% of the world's millionaires invest in real estate? Well, I'm Angel with the Academy Presents Real Estate Investing Rocks, and I'm here to help you if you want to go for your piece of that pie. Now, one of the things that I do really like about Coach T is he gives you the information and then he's like, share it. This isn't just for me. This isn't just for you. Share it.
Yes.
And I see like there's probably like a 50-50 split. Some of your mentors are going to be, and some of your coaches are going to be like, tell everybody, share it with everybody. And then there's some that are like, oh no, don't share this because this is specifically for the people in my program. And I'm glad that we were able to get onto the side of share everything I teach, because being a talker, I don't always remember what people don't want me to share. And so, I mean, like if somebody tells me it's a secret, I know it's a secret. I'm not going to share it. But if somebody just says something to me in passing, I'm probably going to talk about it later, especially if it made an impact on me. And so being in that school of thought where we need to be sharing as much information as possible, regardless of where it comes from, I really like that because it also aids in that transparency too. Because I feel like it's going to be a lot easier for more people to get into the multifamily space specifically and real estate investing in general if they see the transparency of it. Like when you said, when you first got into syndication, you realized that it was normal people, like typical people like you and I, that are investing in these apartments. Well, if we can educate enough people and increase that transparency, maybe, just maybe, when there's an eviction moratorium, the tenants and the residents will be like, wait a second, this person is like me. Why do I want to hurt them when they are supplying me with a safe place to live?
Yep.
And so maybe we need to be more open and more transparent in our educating to let more people in society realize that, you're not putting it to the man, you're putting it to your fellow American. And so I don't know, that's just kind of where where I think of when I come to that, because it's, I don't know, I'm not of that mindset. If somebody said you don't have to pay rent because they can't do anything to you, I don't know, I'd probably still try and do as much as I can, because at the end of the day, it's going to come back on you. Whether you owe it 6 months from now or 6 years from now, you still owe it. Because somebody gave you a place to live. Somebody provided you with a roof and running water and hot and cold air. And, I just don't get it. Maybe when I was in college, I would have taken advantage of it. Maybe. I don't really know. But there is that big part of me that believes that if we educate as many people as we can on the types of people that are investing in real estate, it can change the way people view it. So there's probably a lot of people out there that think that everybody that owns real estate is like Donald Trump. And while I do hope to someday have that kind of revenue and that kind of net worth, not there yet. Not even close. So, but that's, we definitely want to leave a legacy for our family. But even then, holy night, it probably, I don't want to put a generational count on it, but it may be this generation, it may not be. But we're working for it. We're gonna work it as hard as as hard as we can, doing as much as we can. But anyway, get off that little tangent. Kind of all over the place. Sorry. So when we talk about your podcast, do you ever see it like evolving into something more than, what's your first deal like? Do you think you might evolve into another area or a specialization or?
So I think at the moment we're focusing on the real estate interviews and learning right now. However, like as a long-term goals, I'm pretty sure so if we continue the daily podcast, then hopefully it will be evolving to different things or different areas or different topic like mindset or some other areas. But at the moment, we're focusing on learning real estate side of things as much as possible.
Cool. So on your podcast, do y'all use a production company or do y'all do it all on your own?
So right now we're doing on our own. So we do the editings and
He does
interviewings
the
and,
he does the
and
editing.
transcriptions and all that. So for right now, but we're working on automating the process. So hopefully that would help us smooth the process a little bit in the future.
Cool. So you're talking about like a daily podcast. So before people freak out, so listeners, just because you do a daily podcast does not mean that you're doing a daily podcast. It releases daily. So don't get discouraged if you are wanting to do a podcast or you're wanting to put together a YouTube channel. Don't get discouraged by thinking that it is a daily commitment. It is, but it's not. You're not recording every day unless you want to. If you want to record every day, by all means, record every day. You know, you do you, boo. But it's a lot of the people I know that have daily podcasts or they have several time a week podcasts, they record 1 or 2 days a week. And so if you're wanting to start putting content out there and you're wanting to do the podcast or you're wanting to do that YouTube channel, don't be discouraged thinking that it's a lot of work and it's more than what you think it is. Talk to people. Talk to me. I will be very open about what I do. Literally, we record once a week. We do one show and that goes to the editing team and then it goes over to the podcast team and they put it into podcasts. So it looks like, you know, every episode is actually 4 pieces of content when it's one piece of content that's been repurposed. And that's kind of the key is, and Neil Bawa talks about it too, that you don't have to, everything doesn't have to be new. You can put your content out there and look at what's hitting the hardest and then repurpose the pieces that seem to hit home with the most people so that it has a lot more impact. And that's I hope that when I talk about things that I show you that I pick up little bits and pieces from lots of different places and then I put them together as my own set of ideals and it formed into my own process of how I do things, because it's not that one size fits all. Mm-hmm. There are going to be people that listen to my podcast or listen to my YouTube channel and be like, oh yeah, this is not for me. But I would venture to say that anyone that has a thought process similar to mine, you know, all over the place, is really going to love this one.
We're loving it.
We're loving it.
Yeah, it's fun. And so what's your show about? And I'm like, well, it's kind of free form. Kind of goes wherever it's going to go. And I like that because it's just like conversations and I feel like you get to know people. And like, I am so glad. Yeah,
because it's a free form, so we don't feel as much pressures. And I'm pretty sure, like, full disclosures, this is our first podcast being on with you and on YouTube. So for you to having a free forms and you know, like making us feel comfortable, so we really appreciate that.
Well, and that's but that's it. It's like we're just normal people. Yes, we're real estate investing. We are real estate investors, but we're just normal people.
Yep.
And so like I'm in Zoom stuff, like we do some Zoom happy hours with some friends and my 12-year-old might be sitting on the couch and she's like, is this really the way you talk with your friends? Like, yes, honey, this is really the way I talk with my friends. And it's neat to let her see how people interact because we interact very similarly to her and her little, I call it a nerd herd, but her and her little group of friends. And so I like having that level of transparency where even our children get to see that we're not these out of the world thinkers. We're just normal people. And we just happen to get into real estate, which I think is the best wealth building vehicle out there. Just so you know. But we did get involved in some oil and gas, which may prove to be a pretty good wealth building vehicle as well. Uh, so for those of you that have never seen it, Holly Williams has a book. And now I can't think of the title of it. I shouldn't have said anything.
What the
It's
1% know.
What the one?
Oh, the
That's right.
hidden. It's called hidden investing.
hitting investing, but the tagline on it is what the 1% know that the rest of us don't.
Yeah.
And in it, she talks about investing in real estate and oil and gas, and there's one other one, but we kind of decided to make that diversification leap, just because it's kind of a safety net. We were just real estate, and then like Jason got in on the general partnership with his family, and that had some oil and gas in it and some farmland, and so it was diversified in and of itself. And then we are starting to personally diversify our portfolio to get that safety net. But I have other friends that like my friend Sandia, she plays in the stocks and makes money there, and then uses real estate to depreciate away the earnings. I mean, it's there are so many tricks that you don't know about until you get into the space. And it is mind boggling how much is out there that you just don't know about. Like, I had no clue when we first got in. Like you said, when we first got into this, I had no clue that you could syndicate to buy apartment complexes.
Right.
I was like, what? It's just a whole different world. And then I learned about investing in ATM funds, and I was like,
Mhm.
what? And you're actually investing in like a set of little ATM machines, and you get money every month from investing in these little ATM machines
Yeah.
that somebody else places and somebody else maintains. And that's another one was like eye openers to me. And then we learned about the infinite banking concept.
Right. The infinite banking.
And again, it was like, what? Because you
Yeah.
don't learn those things. They don't teach those things in college. And it wasn't until we got into this space in this little fraternity and this little sorority that we were able to learn about all of these ways to make your money work for you instead of you working for your money.
Right.
And just eye-opening. Absolutely eye-opening. So, but anyway. So have y'all looked at IBC?
We've been introduced to it. We've talked to some people about it, but it's such a new concept to us that it's pretty hard to grasp how it actually works. But we're really curious about it, and we're going to start looking into it a little bit more.
Mhm.
But it's still a pretty complex process to us, at least. We still haven't fully grasped the whole
the
thing of it.
concept.
Mhm.
Well, I don't know that I fully understand it, but the part I do get is that each dollar is working twice or
Yep.
more. That's all I
Yeah.
need to know.
I know we know it works, but we just
We
we should
just don't
figure out
know
how.
how that. But I guess,
So-
like you said, like until you jump into it, like you actually don't know.
Well, and
And then
somebody that's in IB hammer me on this, but the way I understand it is it's kind of like you put money into this life insurance policy, and that kind of becomes a bank.
Mhm.
And so that life insurance policy pays based on what's inside of it. So if it has $100,000 in it, it's paying the dividends or whatever they're called based on that $100,000.
Yep.
But you can take $50,000 out of it, put it into a syndication that's earning 8. You've got to pay yourself back, say 5% for taking the 50, but the overall policy still thinks it has $100,000 in it. So it's paying those dividends like there's $100,000 in it, but you took 50,000 out to earn 8% somewhere else. So like in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm still making 3% because 8%, I'm paying back 5%, I'm still making 3, but it's so much more than that because there's like this compound effect that's going on.
Mhm.
And that's where I get lost. I don't understand anything beyond that. But in very basic terms, in my mind, I can understand that I'm making 3% using the same dollar more than once. And I know it's way more than 3%, but it only has to be 3% to me. It only has to be 1% to me because I'm still making 1% more than what I would have made any other way. And so in my mind, it just has to be more than 0 and it's a good deal. So like I said,
true.
any of my friends that are in infinite banking are probably going to hammer me on my explanation of that. But that's the only level that had to make sense to me.
Well, that's what we
So, and
understand
like,
as well, like at that point. And then, like you said,
yeah,
anything above 0% is well worth it. I mean, you put
mhm.
the money in the bank right now. What do you get? Like you put $50,000. What did you get? Like 3 cents of interest, and
It's not much.
and then I'm pretty sure you're gonna get 1099 out of that as well. So you probably get 1.5 cents after that. So
I
anything
don't even
above
know.
that,
I know,
yeah.
like, my deal with interest rates was is I was lucky enough that my grandparents would let me roll their coins, and then we would put my money in an account. Well, this was the early 80s when savings and loans were still a big thing. And I had my first $1,000 CD by the time I was 5 or 6.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
okay, as a 5 or 6 year old, I still remember looking on the board and seeing that my interest rate yield was 8.14% on a
Wow.
CD.
Mhm.
I was 5 or 6 and I still remember those numbers. It's probably why there are no more savings and loans. Um, but knowing that at one point in time I was able to make that kind of money on a CD
Mhm.
makes me very jaded when I look at interest rates now at the bank. I'm just like, you're wanting to use my money to make money for you, but you're not going to pay me for it.
Yep.
Right.
So I have a hard time putting a bunch of money in the bank knowing that they're using my money and they're making money, but they're not
Mhm.
sharing the wealth.
Right.
So that's one of the things I really like about that infinite banking concept is the way that you can use the dollar more than once. And then that's one of the reasons why I really got into this idea when we went over to the commercial side of that equity line of credit based on equity in your investments. And I was like, and this is another way I can use that dollar more than once. And yes, you have to pay for it, but it's the same in infinite banking. You still, even if you take a loan, you still have to pay for the ability to have that cash in your hand.
Mhm.
So with an equity line of credit, I mean, you're getting access to the funds, but you're still having to pay for access to those funds, but you're getting to spend that dollar more than once. And so that single dollar gets to work for you more than once. And so it's kind of a game to me now. I'm looking for all these ways that you can use the same dollar more than once because how much sense does that make, right?
Yep.
It makes a lot of sense to me. So, but anyway, I don't want to take up all your time. I'm like looking at the clock. I'm like, whoops. We've been talking forever. Well, I've been talking. Y'all answer every now and then when I actually ask you a question. Um, I've got to get better about that. Holy night. It's like y'all are so like smart and into this, and I'm just like blabbering away. Oh well. Okay, I'll stop now. But just kind of coming back to y'all. What is what's your favorite part of being involved in real estate investing right now?
So, well, you can answer on your own too, but for me, it's for me, I really love meeting the people, and just learning from everybody and having all the people that we're meeting this abundance mindset and just wanting to share all their knowledge with us, has just been totally eye-opening, and just, it's been really fun meeting all these new people and just getting their different ideas and everything like that. So that's been the best part of real estate investing so far.
Fun.
And for me, the same, like learning from different peoples and different ideas. Like you mentioned, infinite banking. We don't know what that is until we start talking to the real estate experts, and we're like, whoa, mind blowing. So that type of thing that really excite me, and of course, the tax advantage and tax deductions, and that really excite me as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I don't know what's going to happen with the new political climate, but real estate has been amazing as far as the tax implications. um, you can you can deduct your taxable income to basically nothing. Um, and for people that are listening that are like, well, that's really crappy. You should be paying your taxes to help out people that are less fortunate. Well, I don't know. It's kind of smart too. It's not like you're not paying something. It's just that you're also working to keep the economy going as an investor, and you should have a benefit for doing that. And so I don't feel bad about depreciating away our taxable income as far as I can because we're also working to help keep the economy going. So I'm not claiming to be the Fed or anything, but we as investors definitely help keep the economy rolling. And I do think there should be a benefit to that. I just think there should be. I'm kind of frustrated with this idea that the 1031 is going away. Not that we're 1031ing into anything, but there are people that do, and they shouldn't be penalized. So I don't know. I think if you are an investor and you're helping to keep the economy rolling, there should be a benefit to you. And if you're doing a 1031 exchange, you're still benefiting the economy. And you're, especially if you're going into an apartment complex, because if you're 1031ing into a syndication and you're the key principal or whatever it is you're working, you're helping all of the residents of that complex. Well, you should benefit from that. You shouldn't be taxed on it or not be able to do it. But I mean, I think the ultimate goal of it is to be able to redistribute or whatever the tax code is trying to do. But it's kind of like, I think back to the increase in the luxury tax, however long ago, it was proven to be ineffective because luxury items have a very elastic demand. And if you increase the price, the demand just drops off, because luxury items aren't something people have to have. They're things people want. But if you make them highly taxed and very expensive, people are just going to buy something else or do something else with their money. So I kind of think of that as maybe not being equivalent to a 1031, doing away with it and kind of screwing with some of the benefits we've seen in real estate investing. But on the flip side of that, it's kind of, when I'm learning about something new, I try to attach it to something I already know because it helps me understand it better. That's why when I think about like infinite banking, I just straight line it. Oh, well, 5% here, 8% here, 3% difference. Yay, I'm doing well. Instead of like, I've had someone like show me the breakdown of, it's not just 3%, it's 3 times this, and now you're talking, I want to say it was like a crazy amount, like over 100%. When it was all compounded out, the mathematics of that is way beyond me. But all I got to know is that 3%. I'm good. You don't got to take it any higher. And if it is higher, awesome. But my understanding of it isn't going to be above 3%. So, but like I said, like 6 minutes ago, I have had y'all on for way long, and I don't want to keep monopolizing your day, but just thank y'all for sharing and for being a part of this and for being fun.
No,
y'all are
Thank you.
Oh, y'all are great. Yeah, no, awesome. And just thank you for being open and sharing. And I know, like when we had talked before, you were like, full disclosure, this is what we're doing, this is what we haven't done. And I say that again just because I don't ever want anyone to think that they're not a player in the real estate investing space just because they're not playing at the same level as somebody else. If you're playing at all, you are a real estate investor. So just keep that in mind. And I don't know if you can hear my children yelling. I hear them yelling better than them knocking on the door.
Too, so
but yeah, I hear I think it was my 5-year-old. I don't know what she's yelling. I just hear her voice. It's very loud. But that's kind of my signal. I better get out of here. But just thank y'all for coming on and just sharing and being open. And it was just fun. And I'm so glad that I've gotten to know y'all. And again, my selfish plug, this is how I get to build some relationships. So if this is something you want to do, don't be overwhelmed. If you need someone to talk to, I'm sure anybody that has a podcast is willing to talk to you about getting one started. So, and with that, guys, I will see you next week for the Academy Presents Real Estate Investing Rocks. Next week, we are having, I shouldn't have said anything because now Mike, and I cannot say his last name. It's like Morawski. Yeah. Don't hate me for mispronouncing your name. I'm so sorry. But he is going to be on, and he's going to be sharing some of his insights with real estate investing. And so we all look forward to that. And for my listeners, I will see y'all next time. Have a great weekend. And if you don't hear from me again before Thanksgiving, have an awesome Thanksgiving. And I hope you have a safe and wonderful, amazing time. So I will see you next time.